So this video is about how to effectively tackle strategic management. So I'll talk about how to effectively study for strategic management in the shortest period of time. So there's a part of the book. The book we'll be using is Exploring Strategy, version edition 12. So there's a part of the book which summarizes the frameworks and basically the entire course. So you can that you can effectively study the book. So the book is like this is 837 pages. So there's what we call the Pareto principle, which states that 80% of outcomes are caused by 20% of input. So this video is about how to just you focus on that 20% that will make you effective. So how to focus on the relevant stuff, in short. So let me just dive in. Strategic management, according to Exploring Strategy, is divided in position, choice, and action. So strategic position, choice, and action. Okay, before I dive into that, so for the course at the Copperbelt University, you'll be either given tests or a mock exam. You'll be first given assessments and either tests or a mock exam. So in this case, a mock exam. But before 2023, in 2023 and 2024, there were just tests, no mock exam. So it's been it's like it's reverted back to that format of a mock exam. And this book was introduced. Exploring Strategy Vision edition 12 is the main book you have to be using. So this was introduced in 2023. So position is concerned with the impact on the strategy of strategic. This is basically a summary of strategic position. What's the purpose of position, choices, and action? So strategic position is concerned with the impact on the strategy of the external environment to the organization's strategic resources, capabilities, organizational goals, and organizational culture. So you can just read this. Let me not waste time. So strategy has to do with management of resources, scarce resources, in order to achieve organizational goals and objectives. So you manage these scarce resources. So in strategy, we'll be having what we call frameworks. So a framework is in this context, a framework is a tool, a systematic thought process used to arrange information for decision making purposes. So strategic management, this is a practical course, so you have to think out of the box. So you'll be making decisions in form of frameworks. So you'll be following frameworks to make any decision. So that you can so that you can effectively tackle problems or questions. So it just opens up your mind to think in form of frameworks. So strategy, there are many definitions of strategy, so this is important. These just in case you forget, these are quite examinable. And Alfred D. Chandler's definition, Michael Porter's definition, Peter Drucker's definition, Henry Mintzberg's definition. So these are important. It's important to know these definitions. So this is according to the strategic management, the Exploring Strategy the definition of strategy. So strategy is the long-term direction of an organization, formed by choices and action about its resources, scope, in order to create advantageous positions relative to competitors, peers in a changing environment, and in a changing environmental and stakeholder contexts. So strategy is about long-term direction. Yeah, so basically this is what strategy is about in this book. Yeah, so let me just dive into the important part. Yeah, so like I said, this book is 837 pages. So you can the best way of studying strategy is studying the frameworks. Yeah, so this is what we call an electronic table of content. Yeah, so this is an electronic table of content. So if you press on it, like click on it, sorry, it will take you to the exact page. Yeah, so there's a page in this book which summarizes what strategic the three parts of strategy. Let me just go, it should be 41, page 41. Okay, this is the page. Let me just increase this. So the actual page, this is page here, it's 13, but including the covers and whatnot, it's 40. Yeah, so should be 40 there if you include the covers. So strategic position, so this summarizes what strategic position, this page summarizes what strategic position is. This page summarizes the frameworks in strategic management, I mean for position here. So here the three horizon framework. Yeah, so this document here is a document. This part of the document summarizes the frameworks. Then this one is an exhaustive summary of all the frameworks in strategic management and the page number. So one thing I would advise in strategic management is that if you want to study in the shortest period of time, you just go directly where the page, the framework, where you can locate the framework in the book. Yeah, so you study and understand the framework, not like not studying everything. Yeah, so this is choices. So business strategy models, corporate strategy, diversification, international strategy. So this is basically summarizing the parts and the sections of strategic management. So strategy in action, managing strategy in action is about how strategies are formed and how they are implemented. So this basically summarizes the entire book. So I've placed an extract of this in this guide. It should be the last thing. Yeah, the last thing. Yeah, so this is an extract. It basically summarizes the entire book. Yeah, so how do you effectively study strategic management? Yeah, so there's studying. You can either work so people say you can either work hard or smart, but I believe you work hard for you to work smart. So this is just how I can if I had to do strategy all over again, how I would study it. Yeah, so let me go to the strategic management book. This would save people a lot of time. Yeah, so this is the table of content. Yeah, So okay, let me just open this. So I also talk about how you can use ChatGPT to study effectively as well. So let me just okay. So this is page 20, but their covers. So this is a properly designed book. Yeah. So it shows the covers and the actual page. What I mean by page is that this has got covers, so those are not counted as pages. So this is why it shows that. Yeah. So on this page, let's just say it's 20. This shows all the frameworks here in strategic management. So all the frameworks. So if you click on Vario analysis, you go directly on Vario analysis. So what I would recommend is you just study the frameworks, understand them from the core. Yeah. So that's how you effectively tackle strategic management. You can't study the entire book. Yeah. So you just go to the frameworks, directly to the frameworks. So you can upload the book on ChatGPT. So you go to add files. Okay, I think in this other account I've uploaded the book already. Now the thing about ChatGPT or any other AI model, maybe DeepSeek, it's all about the prompting. So if you prompt it very well, if you prompt the AI very well, it will give you very good results. Yeah. So this one, this is my other account. I've uploaded the book already. On this one, this is ChatGPT Plus. Yeah, so this one is different from this one is a unpaid version. This one is the paid version. Yeah, so this outline for strategic management. Yeah, so in case you want to study strategic management in a short period of time, this outline of frameworks, you can just ask ChatGPT. Yeah, so let me use the unpaid version. Yeah, so you tell it to describe in detail in this case the three horizon framework. Describe in detail the three horizon framework. Use the uploaded PDF for reference. Okay. So if you want to absorb a lot of data in a short period of time, yeah, this is what you can do. You can do this so that you can just take the relevant notes. Okay. So okay, let me try another framework. So now the difference is this one has got a lot of features like advanced reasoning. Yeah, so you can also upload it here. Yeah, so the best way to study strategy effectively is you study the frameworks directly, then you study the case studies, maybe the group presentations. So if you don't understand the frameworks at the core, even if you understand the case studies, sometimes they twist questions. So that's one thing you have to be wary of. You have to understand the frameworks at the core. So let me talk about tips in tackling strategic management questions. So some questions will be open, as multiple frameworks could be applied with a written justification. Okay, let me just open some past papers. Okay, let me open this file as well. These are case studies. So these are the case studies. Okay. Session of 2022. And the session of paper mock session. Okay, where is the mock exam for 2022? Okay, so I'll make a separate video on how to answer strategic management questions with an example. So this is how papers come. So you'll be given a case study, then questions from A to E, sometimes A to D, but the new format is A to E. That's the latest format. So the first questions, there are two sections. The first section is compulsory with two questions, each having A to E. Each you apply the BFDA approach, which I will talk about. Let me see, is this video very long? Okay, 17 minutes. Okay, let me talk about the BFDA. So always ask yourself a question: do I really understand the BFDA? So in strategic management, the biggest killer is time management. So if you apply the BFDA, this is now what's common to most people who have taken strategic management using the BFDA. The BFDA makes you explain a lot of details, so you end up spending a lot of time on each question. If you're not careful, if you don't plan properly, you might just end up answering half of the paper. So let me just talk about the BFDA. I'm sure. Okay, so BFDA, as we know, is background. B is background. F, framework, definition of framework, application and conclusion and recommendations. So for the background, give a brief and general overview of the scenario based on the following questions. Okay, so when was it founded? So maybe if it's an organization, so when was it founded? You ask that question. So for an exam, I would recommend 3 to 2 sentences will suffice for the background. And when each question should have its own background. If there's a background which can be general for each question, for some questions, so you can just say with reference to the mentioned background, you can connect sentences like that. You always have to write in paragraph form for this course. So always write in paragraph form. So maybe you've made a general background for everything there. So you say with reference to that, you connect. Just connect it like that. Everything has to be connected when explaining in this course. Yeah. So try to use the very few text when explaining. Yeah. Use the least amount of words, in short. Yeah. Yeah, so where was I? Yeah, so the background. Yeah, so when you're talking about the background, when was it founded? You talk about when maybe the company was founded. What is the mission, vision, and objectives, and the purpose of the company? So you talk about that. Just be very brief, unless if it's an assignment. Yeah, that's where you explain a lot of details. Explain more in detail. So, what is the current situation of the organization of them? You also talk about the current situation. Then frameworks. Yeah. So you talk about the framework you'll be using. Like I said, a framework is a systematic thought process or a tool used to organize information for decision making purposes. So if your framework is SWOT analysis, you just mention SWOT analysis for the framework. Then definition, so you can combine these two so that they look seamless. Yeah, so you can even let me just go to the cover page. Yeah, so you can make subheadings. They can implicitly or show the BFDA. Yeah, so they can implicitly or explicitly. So you can either show it like background, that's explicitly showing, or you can implicitly show it maybe just by the what do you call it, the titles you make. Yeah, so you can show the breakdown as the BFDA. Yeah, so these you can join them. When you mention the framework, you can now go to the when you mention the framework, you can go to the definition. So the definition part, if it has got acronyms, you expand the meaning of the acronyms. SWOT analysis, S, strength, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. So you expand that. You give the purpose of the framework and the justification of the framework. Why use this framework in this situation? Yeah, so you give a justification why use the framework in this situation. Then application of the framework, you apply the framework in the scenario. So this is where you have to spend the most time. You apply the framework. Then recommendations, you can give a recommendations and conclusion. So you give a reasonable conclusion. You can give recommendation in which aspect the business model or the organization can improve. You can give recommendations on which potential frameworks can be used. You can just you have to think out of the box. You just give something. You give any recommendation. Now the tricky part about the BFDA is in a setting of an exam, you have to answer 4 questions. Yeah, so section A is compulsory. It has 2 questions. Then answer any 2 questions in section B. Now the main trick is that each part like question A, BFDA, B, BFDA up to E. So in short, you have 20 sub questions. And if you're not careful, you can even write 2 pages on each. So 20 times 2, that's 40 pages. You can easily write 40 pages. So most people, it's very normal not to finish strategic management. Even if you wrote, like, say 1 page for this part, 1 page, that would be 20 pages. That's applying the BFDA. So you have to be very fast. The best way of tackling strategies, uh, writing a practice exam. You have a timer there, then you study first, then you practice. Yeah, you first basically opens up your mind. Yeah, so that most people don't manage time properly. That's the biggest issue for strategic management. Okay, let me just pause this video a bit. So like I was saying, most people struggle with time management in strategic management. Yeah, so the biggest killer is time management. Applying the BFDA. Always ask yourself the question: do I really understand what it means by BFDA, especially in an exam setting? Yeah. So just a recap of everything I was talking about. When you're studying this course, yeah, so you focus on the frameworks. So here I was giving an example of the frameworks. So in here, so these are just by observation. These are the frameworks which are the most applicable in the just by looking at exam papers. Yeah, so these are the most useful frameworks in action, strategic action. The most useful frameworks are these, or most asked questions just by observation. So even this one can be used. I even forgot about this one. Okay, let me just pause the video again. Okay, sorry for that interruption. Okay, yeah, so the frameworks I've highlighted in red, these are the most likely frameworks to be applicable in past papers just by observation. Yeah, cost benefits assessment or analysis can be also, that's under action. Yeah, so most of the frameworks are in applicable in exams are from position and choices just by observation. Yeah, so I would recommend for someone to effectively study strategic management in the shortest period of time, you just these are the frameworks in the book. So you just use this guide, then you go to the exact page, you take notes, or you can also use ChatGPT. You upload you can upload the book, then you ask for you can use this list to search for the framework you want. Let me just look for a framework. This one, directional policy framework. Yeah, so you can use that. So based on the uploaded book, describe in great detail the framework, the GE Mackenzie framework. Yeah, so ChatGPT. So here it was describing the internationalization drivers. Yeah, so market drivers. So you can take notes like this. You can also take notes. So okay, so G, direction matrix. Yeah, definition. Yeah, so accesses. Then you can go to the book so that you study effectively. Yeah, so this is what I can recommend. Yeah, so basically this is a summary of the book and the frameworks. So you just go directly to the framework instead of studying the cases in the book. Yeah, that to waste a lot of time. Then for the exams, let me just talk about some things here. So I started talking about tackling questions in strategic management. So some questions will be open with multiple frameworks. Yeah. So I'll properly talk about this in the video on how to answer exams in strategy, exams or tests. Yeah, so some questions will have keywords, phrases, hinting at the most appropriate framework, e.g. competitive landscape. You can use a strategic canvas, strategic groups, SWOT analysis at a macro level, as well as PESTEL analysis. Another example is situation analysis. So these are keywords or phrases. You can use PESTEL analysis. Then others will require you to use the stated framework. So some questions will be very clear, or so the first ones will be open. You can use any framework which is appropriate. The second, there will be hinting. Then there will be some questions where they are direct. Yeah, so there will be like a stronger hint given. Yeah, so what are the international drivers? So use the international drivers framework. That's just an example. Yeah, then tackling time. You'll be using the BFDA approach for answering the questions. I talked about the BFDA in an exam. Yeah, so there are two sections in an exam, A and B. A is compulsory. It's basically what I talked about. So you can put subtitles. So background can be used for one background can be used for multiple sub questions. So like here you've got a question here. One background can be used for multiple. So this is a question on Felix. Where is it? Phoenix International. Yeah, so maybe you write a background even before you answer this. You can write a background, then you can use it for multiple questions. Then some questions will require a new background. Yeah, so you can just say with reference, like I was mentioning earlier. Then time allocation is key for questions. So it's very good if you can sit where you can watch the time. Yeah, so like I said, you can easily write 20 to 40 pages in this course. Yeah, so if you're applying the BFDA, this can be one page. This part A can be 1 page or 2 pages. So if it's 1 page and there are 20 of these, A to E, so there are 4 questions. A to E is 5. 4 times 5, that's 20. So 21 page. If you're answering 1 page, that's 20 pages. If you're answering 2 pages, that's 40 pages. So be very careful with the way you explain questions. If you over explain and don't properly allocate your time, you end up maybe even answering half of the paper. Yeah, so be very careful, but clearly explain. It's very good again to clearly explain. Just balance the two. It's hard to balance, and it's impossible to finish the entire paper if you exhaustively explain. So if you exhaustively explain everything, it's impossible to finish the entire paper. That means you might be writing something like 40 pages. Yeah, so you have to be very careful with that. That's just like a very serious warning. Yeah, so the recommended book, okay, I talked about that. I think this video is very long. Yeah, so that's it for this video. Yeah, so this is how you can effectively study strategy. Then the best way to prepare for strategies, you study the frameworks. You can first study the case studies, like you can just study and jot down the important points, the case studies for the presentations you've been given. Like for example, these case studies here, you can study them, the notes people prepared. Just because you study that doesn't mean the question will be like that. As explained, sometimes the questions are twisted since there's A to E. Yeah, so you can study these, then make sure you also study the frameworks directly after studying these case studies. So for these, you can study them very in a way that you don't memorize everything. You just study just to get an overview. Then when you're studying the frameworks, make sure you grasp the concept, you grasp every part of the framework. Yeah, that's what I would emphasize. For these, you can just study them. In fact, you can study them like a novel, but not like a novel where you forget some things. You can jot down some important things. Then when you're studying the frameworks, like you go page to the exact page, the relevant part of the framework, not the other background information. You study that in order to retain the information. So once you study, say, a framework, you can maybe you study it in the morning just to check up. You don't want to be deceiving yourself, just to check up if you can remember everything. You can try to recall everything about the framework, maybe around 19 hours. If you forget something, you go back to your notes so that you cementify everything, the data. Yeah, so what I would say is that you can put yourself maybe in a scenario, you're applying the framework, you attach meaning to the information. Yeah, so your brain isn't designed to store information like a computer. Yeah, so it's designed to create for creativity, but you can put things in the long-term memory if you attach meaning to what you're studying. So you give yourself a scenario, if you imagine something. Yeah, that's a good way of memorizing information. Yeah, so that's what I would say. So for these case studies, some of them can be found in the past papers. Yeah, so this is a number of them. Yeah, Phoenix, I found some of them. Tradekins, Zambia Sugar, Zampost. Okay, so I think this video is very long. This is how many? 38 minutes. Yeah, so thank you very much for watching this video. Yeah, so I'll cut it here. Yeah, so make sure you just go to the direct page. Don't study the irrelevant stuff. Yeah, go to where the framework is, you study the framework, you grasp the concept, then apply it in the exam. Yeah, so thank you very much for watching this video.